literally how I am taking this. The seat of the soul, what the support of the soul, what and how you are being supported. Now, it's interesting because had we been in our center, I would have made the comment, as I usually do. You all came in, and you probably did this at home, right where you are. You came in and you plopped yourself down on the chair or the sofa or the bed or wherever it is that you're sitting, in your car. I know I saw Jess in her car this morning. You all sat down without question as to whether that seat was going to support you or not. Meaning you trusted that the chair or the sofa that you're sitting on is going to support you and is going to keep you from hitting the floor. And without thinking about it, you did that. Why? Why did you do that? Can anybody tell me why you didn't check out the chair that you were sitting on and check out its integrity and see if the sofa was gonna, keep you up from the floor? Does anybody want to raise their hand and just tell me why you so confidently, yeah, go ahead, Gary, why did you so confidently go sit where you're sitting now in that chair without checking it out?
One word, faith.
Faith, beautiful. How about you, Michelle? I see you raised your hand.
Trust that it happened before, and I think it would do it again.
Right, so faith, trust. Anybody else? One more, you can unmute yourself to speak. Faith and trust is absolutely the deal. I've done it before, it's happened, I believe it. But mind you, what happens the very first time you go sit in a chair and it collapses underneath you? What do you think is going to happen the next time you go try to sit in a chair? Look, Gary's going like this. Right? You're going to check it out. You're going to check it out. Now, here's my question. My question to you is, we have been up until this date. Today is May the 3rd, 2020. And up until this date, we have been fed, clothed, sheltered. We're breathing in and out. Our body functions are still doing what they do. And yet, do we have the same faith, the same trust in life as we do in that sofa? Are we able to make that transfer? And if we don't have that same faith that we're going to be supported and held, then what are the tools? What are the things that we must engage in order to feel supported by life? And so I know for me that the seat of the soul or the support of the soul are my spiritual practices. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've noticed that every Sunday we engage in a handful of spiritual practices. Can folks start telling me a little bit about some of the spiritual practices that we engage in here on Sunday morning? Unmute yourself and let's just count them out. Meditation. So we do some kind of silence, right? For a few minutes, meditation. What other spiritual practice do we engage in? Don't everybody shout out at once.
Affirmations.
We do affirmations. Absolutely. Samantha?
Reflection. We reflect on ourselves, on our experiences, and
absolutely. I usually do a question. I ask you to think about it, to look at it. So we practice the spiritual practice of reflection. What else? George typed in the chat box, tithe or conscious giving, which is a spiritual practice that we take a portion of what we've been given and we contribute it to this spiritual community.
Just the
What
music
else?
and song.
Music and song. So it is a lifting up, Carrie, huh? The
Yeah.
music and the song, which are like affirmations in a sense. We are singing our prayers. Oh, did I say prayer? Our spiritual mind treatment. We are singing our prayers, our affirmations, things of that nature, right? Beautiful.
Oración.
Sí, oraciones. Las oraciones are prayers, our spiritual mind treatment. Now, mind you, community. Thank you, Nancy. Being in community. And then many of us on this Zoom call are also in sacred service, right? Mm-hmm. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things in 1 hour. And vision. Thank you, Reverend Kevin. Yeah. So 9 things in 1 hour. We get in this 1 hour from 10:30 to 11:30. We get to have, it's almost like a cruise ship, a seat on a beautiful cruise ship where we have this opportunity to sample many different stops. And as we're in these different stops on this cruise ship, those are our various spiritual practices. Now, my question to you is if you don't like where you are currently, if your faith doesn't have you catapulting forward, if you're unhappy with any area of your life, what are you seated upon? What is the seat of your soul? So in other words, what is the support? Where is that support? And for us as spiritual people, our support or our seat of our soul are spiritual practices. So take a moment and just scan your life. And I'm not talking about necessarily our, situations that are out of our control, but even the situations that we think are out of our control. Where are the areas in our life that we're ready to have a change? Whether it's in our health, our relationships, our finances. For some, it may be career. Some of us are experiencing what I like to call like a low-grade fever. In other words, we have this just feeling of dis-ease, and we're just uncomfortable enough. Like there's something missing. Yeah. Like I can't necessarily put my finger on it yet, but it's like a low-grade fever that's just irritating enough. What is the seat of your soul, if that is your experience? And how, as Reverend Kevin is typing in the chat, how do we move from survive to thrive? How do we move from this place of I'm just getting by? Oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm just getting by. I'm making it, barely surviving. Oh, just, I'm right there, just doing it, just a little bit. But is that enough? Is that enough? Or do we need to change our seat? Or do we need to adjust our seat? Do we need to take a look at how we're actually being in the driver's seat? Because this is our life. This is the opportunity for each of us to sit down, plop with the faith and the trust that we're going to be supported. But the only way we can do that, beloveds, is to actually not only on Sundays engage in 9 spiritual practices in an hour. That's like going to the gym for 1 hour and doing 9 exercises and then taking the rest of the week off and eating the way we want and just, not moving. No. But how is it that I am incorporating? If I can incorporate in 1 hour 8 to 9 spiritual practices, then how can I actually do that several times a day throughout the rest of the week so that the seat of my soul is supported? And it's simple. It's simple. How do you think you can do that? I'm going to put that question out to you because I think it's simple. But let me ask that question. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to share. And in a second, I'll get to our callers on the telephone. But for those of you who are on your computers or on the screen right now, and I can see you, go ahead and either unmute or raise your hand. How can you begin to incorporate these 9 spiritual practices that we talked about? Let me remind you what they were, because we do them all in here in 1 hour. Meditation, affirmation, reflection, tithing, which is sacred giving of our finances, music, singing songs of joy and affirmation, prayer, being in community, being in service, visioning. All right, who wants to share? How do you think you can incorporate these spiritual practices throughout the week so that the seat of your soul is supporting you fully? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Jan Hartman says, treat and move my feet. And when she talks about treatment, she's talking about prayer. It's a specific science of mind prayer. It's called spiritual mind treatment. And so you pray and then you get into action. So who else? How do you think this is for you. How do you think you can begin to incorporate some of these spiritual practices so that your soul is supported and you move from surviving to thriving? Go ahead, Bertha.
For me, it's gratitude. Anytime in the day that because I become overwhelmed with gratitude, I take that moment for a prayer of gratitude to recognize that some more gratitude comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know I got some friends here in our Zoom room that are gathering that are also quite spiritual and have a morning practice. How many of you have a morning practice? Exactly. And that's why I say it's easy, because with a morning practice, first thing in the morning, you wake up, it's a great day to be alive. There's an affirmation right there. And Bertha, I love that you say gratitude, because the minute and the moment that I recognize that I'm awake and alive, and I say it's a great day to be alive, I get grateful. And this is something my friend Lovey Curry taught me years ago. She said, you need to get grateful. Start from your toes, work your way up. And so it was like, I'm grateful for my 10 toes and my 2 feet. And then I just begin to work my way up. And you talk about, Bertha, overwhelming gratitude. Wow. I can't even get as far as my knees without feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude and thanksgiving in terms of like all my body parts. you know, and just moving up. Never mind I'm breathing. Never mind my organs are functioning. Never mind I'm taking in and eliminating, and amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Yes, Gary.
I'd like to pick up on the gratitude idea too, because one of the things I learned a long time ago, and I forget who the wise person was who said it, but I will
Probably me.
I'll attribute it to the universe. They said that no matter what you're feeling, if you embrace gratitude, gratitude moves everything else out of the way. You can't be angry and be in gratitude. You can't be, nervous or anxious and be in gratitude. When you're in gratitude, it just lets everything else go away. And the other part about that too is one of the quotes from Meister Eckhart, who said, "The only prayer you ever need to say is thank you."
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Any other, let's go to our folks calling in. We got Wendy and Bob. We've got Reverend Dawn and Fancy, Helen. Y'all are unmuted. How easy is it to incorporate some of these spiritual practices into your week and into your daily lives? Do any one of you who are calling in want to share? Anyone on the phone calling in want to share? I see you, Samantha. I'm doing the people calling in first, and then I'll come back to you. Okay. And go ahead, Samantha, and then Michelle.
Thank you everyone for your shares. And the one thing that I was thinking about right now is that it's a practice. It's a practice. So, just getting into action, I think that's what Judy had said earlier. And to just start off with one day and then continue as best as possible. The consistency will come, I know that I have a practice, and it's not consistent yet, but at least I hit it every other day, and I'm able to tell the difference. And so slowly I grow, so long as I stay in action.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Michelle, and then Nancy.
Yeah, I definitely, the whole gratitude thing is huge in my daily routine. I wake up in prayer, and when I don't wake up in prayer, which happens, it does happen. I'm not perfect. I find that my day feels a little lacking, like something's missing. But I'm just grateful that I'm able to stop and pray wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing, And on that same token, meditation and stretching is a huge part of my daily practice. When I don't do that, I feel off, and it's just crazy how the simple things will anchor me back down and ground me, and I'm very grateful today for everything that I have in my life. And just like Samantha said, it does take practice, and it's starting to come natural, but I stopped doing it for so long that I was used to not doing it. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful today. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Go ahead, Nancy, and then we'll close it out with George.
Simply service to the community, service to Downey CSL, and that reflects and is service to God and the people about us. The better we are people in the community as a whole.
Beautiful. And how easy is it for you to incorporate service in your week? Do you find that it's easy, Nancy? Do you find that that it's a little bit challenging? And what do you do when you recognize that you're kind of lacking or not giving as much as you want?
Just find the strength within and see the results. If it's difficult, kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is, gives the drive to continue to do so and learn from challenges.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that, Nancy. All right, George, take us home.
You know, it's crazy. Thank you, Nancy, because you kind of introduced what I was thinking. What's been on my mind lately is rethinking the idea of tithing and conscious giving. I've been doing a class, and one of the questions is, when you're stuck, what were you not giving to that situation? You know, like if I want to breathe, I have to give a breath in order to have room to get one back. And so, like, that's something I'm trying to remember in my daily life. It's like, oh gosh, I'm not feeling enough love. So where am I consciously giving love? You know, where am I giving my 10% of love out because I'm getting it back? You know, or where am I giving my abundance? Where am I giving all the things that I want? You know, like if I want more peace in my life, where am I giving peace to somebody else? And it's crazy how that practice makes the circulation of all these things flow so much more in my life. Because I get stuck on what I don't have instead of remembering to try to know I do and give from there. So that's what I want to do this week.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I have seemed to have lost my Zoom screen here, and I'm having some technical difficulty. But you know what you're talking about, George, is absolutely true. So here's where we begin. We begin with actually recognizing that our life is inseparable from the life of God, that there is absolutely no way that our life is inseparable from the life that is God. We get to see it, we get to live it, we get to be it. And so there focusing on that, even just for a few moments, a few minutes, gives you the opportunity to just like melt away into all these other things. When I just sit in contemplation for just a moment and recognize that my life is inseparable from all life, I lose the judgment. I'm inspired. My prayers just flow. The gratitude just flows. So this week, beloveds, I am encouraging you to check out how you want to be supported and recognize what the seat of your soul is. And so let's just take a moment in deep, deep gratitude for the words that have been spoken by each of us. Thank you so very much. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Reverend Kevin.